Want to build cleaner, more scalable iOS apps? Learn how to combine the factory pattern using Async, Await and MVVM in SwiftUI to create a professional grade app with ease. Let's dive in. So the app that we'll create is the app that you can see on the screen. The app will enable the user to select and retrieve the following payloads, JSON payloads, such as user payload, product payload, and order payload. Make the language translator functional. The first thing we need to do is register for an API key. In this lesson, we will create the downloading translation view. So within the application, when the user enters the text that they want to be translated, for example, if I enter hello, and I want that to be translated from English to Spanish, when I click on translate, you'll see a view above here, which will display the word downloading. Learn to build a language translator apps with SwiftUI Master UI Design, API integration, and hands-on projects. Enroll now and start building. This is the JSON payload we'll be using for endpoint. As you can see, the payload includes an array of JSON dictionaries, which includes users, products, and orders. The first thing we need to do is to create our user's product order response struct. And the purpose of that file is to enable us to retrieve our key values. So we need to create our codable structs for that purpose. So create a new Swift file. Name the file user product order response. And then we need to create our structs. The first struct we will create will be user, codable, identifiable, let ID, int, let name, string, let email, string, let row, string. The next struct we need to create is called product, which is codable, identifiable, as we need to loop through each of the records. Let ID, int, let name, string, let price, double, let category, should be category, string, let in stock, boolean, bool. The final struct we need to create is called order, codable, identifiable, let ID, int, let user ID, int, let product, IDs, an array of ints. Let total price double. Let status string. Let order date, which is string. The next struct we need to create is called API response, and the purpose of that struct, it will return an array of each of the JSON dictionaries. So let's implement that now. Swift file for the API response. Struct API response codable. Let users, which is an array of user array. Let products, so the data type is an array of product. Let orders, which will be an array of orders. Want to build your own Connect4 app? Now you can. Download the free source code and start building today. The link is in the description below. The next struct we need to create is called our error message struct. The purpose of the error message struct is to enable the application to display our error messages to the screen. Let's create the struct. So the struct is called error message. New file. Error message. Struct. Error message. Identifiable. Let ID equal new ID. So that will ensure each error message has a unique ID. Let message string, that's the actual error message. In next week's tutorial, we'll start to implement the actual factory. Don't forget to subscribe for more Swift and SwiftUI tutorials. Want to build cleaner, more scalable iOS apps? Learn how to combine the factory pattern using Async, Await and MVVM in SwiftUI to create a professional grade app with ease. Let's dive in. So the app that we'll create is the app that you can see on the screen. The app will enable the user to select and retrieve the following payloads, JSON payloads, such as user payload, product payload, and order payload. Don't forget to subscribe for more Swift and SwiftUI tutorials. In this tutorial, we will create the factory class. The purpose of the factory class is to fetch and decode users, products, and orders from the remote API. So the first thing we need to do is to create the factory class by creating a new Swift file. name the file factory. And then the next thing we need to do is to define our class. We also need to add an enum to our class. And the purpose of this enum is to fetch the right payloads from the remote server. So depending on the case, it will fetch users, products, or orders. The next thing we need to do is to assign our endpoint, which is HTTPS, iOS, insight.co.uk, data, JSON. Then we need to create our method that's called fetch data. And the purpose of this method is to return a generic array that will include the JSON payload. And it will do that within an async process. We're missing a less than bracket, a more than bracket on lines 20. That should be here. The next thing we need to do is to fetch the data asynchronously using try await, URL session, shared data from URL. And then we need to decode the fetch data into an API response object. The next thing we need to do is to use a switch statement to return the appropriate data based on the request type. So if the user selects user within the tab, then the user payload would be displayed on the screen. If they selected products, then products data would be displayed, else it would be orders that would be displayed on the screen. Case.users, guard let users equals API response users as that's where we pass it to a generic throw factory error dot invalid type. We need to create the new enum that's called factory error. So we can create this anywhere after line 34. Enum factory error case invalid type. So if there's an error on line 30, it will throw this error message. Else, if there's no error, then we just return the payload to the screen, to the user, and then we go on to attempt to get our next payload, which is products. And then we just do the same thing that we've done previously. So that should be products. Then if there's no error, we return products. On line 35, that should be products. The final one we need to return is orders, case.orders. Orders. Orders. And then you need to return the orders. The return product should be after line 39 or 40. We'll just move it. And the additional bracket isn't needed in that line. Factory class should now resemble this. Let's compile it. In next week's tutorial, we'll implement the list view model. Don't forget to subscribe for more Swift and SwiftUI tutorials. Want to build cleaner, more scalable iOS apps? Learn how to combine the factory pattern using Async, Await and MVVM in SwiftUI to create a professional grade app with ease. Let's dive in. So the app that we'll create is the app that you can see on the screen. The app will enable the user to select and retrieve the following payloads, JSON payloads, such as user payload, product payload, and order payload. In this tutorial, we will implement the list view model. The purpose of the list view model is to fetch data based on the selected tab. For example, if the user selected products, then products would be fetched. So the first thing we need to do is to create a new Swift file for our view model. Select Swift file, click on next. Name the file list view model. Import SwiftUI. At main actor. The purpose of using at main actor because we want to make sure that the code is executed on the UI thread. Class list view model. Observable. At published var users. Should be users. That will contain an array of users. So the at publish that will publish any changes to the UI, as in refresh the UI. At publish var product, which is a list or an array of products. Orders, which is a list or an array of orders. And we also need a publish variable for our error message. Error message, which can be nil. At publish var selected tab, which will be content view dot tab. Doesn't exist as yet, but we need to create it. So let's go over to the content view. And then after lines 10 into the following, enum tab string case irritable identifiable case users user or users case products equals products. case, orders equal to orders. So the purpose of using the case iterable is to enable the enums, the cases, to be looped through, so we can step through it within a for each loop, and then we can assign a unique ID using identifiable, which we will do now, as we need to conform to identifiable var ID string self dot raw value. We can now return to our list view model to complete the implementation. Tab equals dot user, and that should be users with an S at the end. It should be user. So within the content view on line 13, we need to update user to be users with an S at the end. Users did set task, and then we need to call our method that will be called fetch data. So let's create our fetch data method now. Function func fetch data for tab content view dot tab, which will be an async function. And then on lines 20, we need to go back and then call our fetch data method. Selected tab. So what that line will do on lines 20, it will asynchronously fetch the data for the newly selected tab. For any tab that we select, it will be updated and refreshed to select and retrieve the right payload. Private let factory equals factory. So create an instance of the factory object. Don't forget to subscribe for more Swift and SwiftUI tutorials. We will be creating on the course. The application includes 3 buttons on the main menu, which are Create To-Dos, List All To-Dos, or To-Do Stats. Clicking on Create To-Dos enables the user to add a new to-do. For example, I'll create one right now. The to-do is to collect relative from airport. Master core data and build real apps like to-do lists with notifications, pie charts, and address lookup. Learn advanced SwiftUI techniques and gain the skills to create professional apps. Join now and start your journey. So you need to type in do and then have a switch statement. to switch which tab the user clicked on. So if the tab was for users, then that means we have to retrieve all of the users from the factory, try await factory.fetch data.users. If it was for products, that means we have to fetch the products. So it's the same thing, try await factory fetch data dot products. And then finally for orders, just do the same thing. Orders equals try await factory dot fetch data dot orders. And then if any error message or errors happened, we need to capture those errors or the error and then assign the error to our error message variable. Error message, and passing the message for the error, which is failed to fetch for the selected tab, such as users or products, and then display error.localized description. Now just compile it. So now it's compiled. In the next tutorial, we will start to implement our content view. Don't forget to subscribe for more Swift and SwiftUI tutorials. Want to build cleaner, more scalable iOS apps? Learn how to combine the factory pattern using Async, Await, and MVVM in SwiftUI to create a professional grade app with ease. Let's dive in. So the app that we'll create is the app that you can see on the screen. The app will enable the user to select and retrieve the following payloads, JSON payloads, such as user payload, product payload, and order payload. In this tutorial, we will create our content view to call the methods in our list view model and populate the content view using the factory pattern. The first thing we need to do is to delete the image and the text element between lines 22 and 25. Now we need to create a navigation view after lines 20. The next thing we need to do, after lines 23, we need to add a picker. And the purpose of the picker is to allow the user to select between the different types of data sets, such as users, products, or orders. $, remodel. We also need to create our @state object, so we do that on or after lines 11. @state object, private var, view model equals this view model. And the purpose of using the @state object is to observe the changes in our view model within our class, so that the content view, the GUI, will be updated with the new changes. Selected tab. Now we need to use the for each loop to loop through all of our cases within our tab that we created yesterday, which is this one here. So we're looping through each one of these, users, products, and orders. And then for each tab we loop through, the actual name of the tab will be displayed as a caption. The next thing we need to do is we need to style the picker to use a segmented picker style. So that should be picker style, segmented picker style. And then we need to move our padding on line 33 and add it anywhere after line 31, anywhere after the picker style. The next thing we need to do is to create a group. To group all of the related controls together. Don't forget to subscribe for more Swift and SwiftUI tutorials. Make the language translator functional. The first thing we need to do is register for an API key. In this lesson, we will create the downloading translation view. So within the application, when the user enters the text that they want to be translated, for example, if I enter hello, and I want that to be translated from English to Spanish, when I click on translate, you'll see a view above here, which will display the word downloading. Learn to build a language translator apps with SwiftUI Master UI Design, API integration, and hands-on projects. Enroll now and start building. Within our group section, the first thing we need to do is to use an if statement to detect if the user wants to display all of the user's data, the payload user's data. So if the user selects the users tab, then we create a list and then we loop through the view model users array. We also create a B stack, and then for each of the users we display the user's name, that should be dot headline. We also display the user's email, dot sub headline, which has a foreground color of grey, and we also display the user's row, user.row font footnotes dot foreground color dot secondary. Else, if the user clicks on the products tab, that means we need to display the products payload, viewModel dot selected tab is equal to products. Then we need to show a list of products when the user clicks on the tab. That should be product. I'll just copy some of this, but it's a little bit similar. We also need a B stack after we define our list. And the alignment of the B stack is dot leading. And now we display our products using our text fields, our text elements. So this will be product name, font headline, And the next one will be category. Which is product dot category. And the font type is subheadline. So we don't need the foreground color to be grey. At the moment, we don't need that. And then we need to display the price of the product, but we need to format the price to string using 2 decimal places. Product.price. Subheadline for the font. The foreground color needs to be green. And then we need to create another element, another text element. Product in stock. That will display if the product is in stock or not. So if the product is in stock, it displays in stock. Else, if it's false, it displays out of stock. Font type is footnote. Foreground color. Product in stock. So if the product is in stock, then the foreground color is green, else stock red. I'll just compile it. I'll have to delete 2 of the brackets. Let's delete these 2 on line 71 and line 74. We'll recompile it. In the next tutorial, we will show the information that allows the list of orders to be displayed on the screen. So it's similar to what we just done. We just need to add another if statement. And then that would nearly be the end of the tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe for more Swift and SwiftUI tutorials. Want to build cleaner, more scalable iOS apps? Learn how to combine the factory pattern using Async, Await, and MVVM in SwiftUI to create a professional grade app with ease. Let's dive in. So the app that we'll create is the app that you can see on the screen. The app will enable the user to select and retrieve the following payloads, JSON payloads, such as user payload, product payload, and order payload. In this tutorial, we will add the functionality to enable the list to be populated with orders using the factory pattern via the fetch data method. As you can see at the moment, we can fetch the users, also the products, but we cannot fetch the orders payload at the moment. So the first thing we need to do is to navigate to line 71. So after line 71, type the following. So we need to continue with our else if statement, else if, new model, selected tab equals to orders. Then we need to populate the list using the view model of the orders property. And then we need to create a VStack, alignment, leading, and then within our VStack we need to add our text elements. So it's a bit similar to what we've done yesterday, so I'll just copy and paste some of these lines up above. So this should be, now let's use the other one. Should be orders, order ID, which is the order ID. And the font will be headline. The next one should be user ID. User ID. And the font type will be sub headline. And then we have the status of the order, which is the order status. The font is footnote, and foreground color will be blue. And then we have the total price. We need to convert the price to string using 2 decimal places. $sign %, 0.2 with 2 decimal places with the F. And then we need the total price property, which should be total price, the order, and then we need to delete the comma after total price. What else do we need to do? So what do we need to do? Oh, we need to add a separator. So we just click on bits, that should add it. Add it to the correct place, I don't think. Let's edit it to the incorrect place. So it should be added after the comma, which is here. It's still incorrect. Oh, we don't need the backslash. Also, I've added too many brackets. So on lines 8 and 9, we can delete the bracket before orders. And the other bracket is there. Now I'm just compiling the preview. Is it going to work? Okay, let's see if I can just run it using the simulator. Although it's not finished as yet. See what it looks like. There's an issue there as well. So it seems like the problem is we're passing the wrong data type into one of the lists. So we know this list works correctly. And this list works correctly, as we tested it earlier, within the tabs, with the users and the products. So it must be this list. So, oh, this should be orders, because we need the orders property from the view model. So that should be the array that we're retrieving. Now let's refresh the preview. As you can see, my MacBook is very slow. So now click on products, click on users. As you've seen, by default users, it wasn't populated with the data. I had to click on products, then click on users. So the next thing we need to do is to call the fetch data method using a task. Let me just click on orders to make sure that it's been populated. And orders being populated as well, which is good. So to make it work, so that when the user starts the application, users is automatically populated for that list, what we need to do is on lines 99, first thing we need to do is add a navigation title. We don't need a navigation title really, just to make it more easier to understand. To understand the view, what the view does, which is the data list. And also we need to use alert, item, $, view model to display any messages such as if the data could not be retrieved, then the user knows what's going on. And then we display the actual alert. And the overload we want to use is the first one, the dismiss button. So we just pass our text. The text will display error with a caption, and then the actual error message, which is also text element, and then the error.message property. Dismiss button we just use as .default. And then with the dismiss button, we want the text to be OK. It should be text. And now we need to call task so that our data is fetched as soon as the view appears. Remodel dot selected tab. See if that works. Let's see if it works in the preview. Yes, as you can see, it works in the preview. Select the products tab, as you can see all the products within the list, the orders tab, and the orders within the list. I'll also run it in a simulator. You can see it's all working. Don't forget to subscribe for more Swift and SwiftUI tutorials.